Self-care is such an important thing for us to have. There are a lot of benefits to us making self-care a priority in our day-to-day and taking time to actually look after ourselves. But I think sometimes it can get a little lost in the sauce what exactly self-care is. It's not just bubble baths and face masks. It goes a lot deeper than that. And today I want to help you put together some ways to implement self-care that go beyond the surface level and actually help you on a much more deeper level to protect your overall well-being for the long term. These may not be what you would initially think of when it comes to self-care, but they are super important things for you to put into place to actually take care of yourself, okay? Let's get into what these things are. Welcome to the Mindset Gym podcast, where we exercise your way of thinking to help unlock your hidden potential. I'm your host, Emily Irwin, a registered nurse and holistic nutritionist with a passion for all things health, fitness, and personal development. All right, let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the Mindset Gym podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We are diving into self-care, and not just surface level self-care, the real deep shit, the real deal stuff today. All right. I'm going to give you 10 things that you can put into place today in order to actually take care of yourself and protect your well-being. Things that are maybe not the first thing that would come to mind when we talk about self-care, but things that are super, super important. Number one on the list is doing a weekly energy audit. And I really love this idea. I can't remember where I heard it, but I love the idea of doing this. And so what you do is essentially, in brain dump kind of fashion, I want you to write down everything from the past week that gave you energy and everything that kind of lit you up in a way, and everything that drained your energy. Once you've done that and you have kind of a clear layout of what things are giving and taking your energy throughout the week, I want you to look at the list of things that are draining your energy, and I want you to find one thing on that list to either eliminate, automate, or delegate. I want you to find some way for you to make this one thing off your list a little bit easier for you to manage. And it can be something really simple. So let's say, for example, making the coffee in the morning is something that's going on your energy draining list. It's something that you find cumbersome to put into your morning routine. It's interrupting your ability to do something else. Automate it. Set it up the night before so that when you wake up in the morning, it's already there. Or maybe it's your commute to work. Maybe you're getting stuck in traffic in the same place every day when you drive to work and it's draining a ton of your energy. Can you eliminate it? Can you potentially take a different route in order to avoid that traffic? If you are working with other people and there's a particular task that is draining a lot of your energy and is taking up a ton of your mental bandwidth, do you have the ability to delegate any part of that or have somebody step in and help you with it so you're not managing it alone? Taking this moment to just have these lists gives you that moment of pause to really reassess what is giving and taking from you with your energy. And you can make better decisions about how to manage those things going forward when you have a clear picture of what they're doing to you. Number two, this is something I've talked about many times, and I'm going to talk about it many times in the future, and this is setting boundaries. Big or small, you being able to set boundaries with other people, with yourself, and be open about the way that you're feeling, be open about your preferences, be open about the things that you need in relationships, is going to be crucial for you taking care of your well-being over the long term. Because if you don't have any sort of boundaries in place, it is going to be very easy for other outside factors to just trample right over what you need. And this can include setting micro boundaries. So this could be smaller things that you may not necessarily consider to be setting boundaries. It may be not replying to someone right away when they text you. It might be setting a rule with yourself that you have to close your laptop during your lunch break. Or maybe setting a rule with yourself that you don't check your work email on your days off. Or if someone asks you to make plans, saying something like, I'll get back to you, instead of immediately saying yes. Just those little tiny micro habits to give yourself some sort of positive structure and to help you take care of yourself in a productive way. Number three is prioritizing your sleep. This is something that I have made a much bigger priority over the last few years, and I cannot talk about it enough. Your sleep is so important. You spend a majority of your life sleeping. It is when your brain kind of processes everything from the previous day. It is when your body recovers from the previous day. And if you are getting really shit quality sleep, the quality of your following day is probably going to be pretty shit. And over the long term, if you're not getting a good sleep consistently, it's going to have a huge impact on your overall health. So if you are not taking steps already to prioritize getting a good night's sleep consistently, I would highly recommend that you do so. And I would recommend that you make this a big part of your self-care routine. And this could be things like getting blackout curtains so there's not additional light coming into your room. It could be things like eliminating screen time right before bed, not drinking a ton of water right before bed, maybe taking some sort of supplement to help you sleep if you need it, creating some sort of wind down routine, just putting things into place so that you can get a better night's sleep on a consistent basis. Number 4, give yourself the princess treatment. Whatever treatment you would want a romantic partner to give you, like however you would want them to treat you day to day, the kind of kind, loving things you'd want them to go out of their way and do, I want you to start doing those things for yourself. And this can be a big one. This can be a really big shift. If you're someone who typically does things for themselves and takes a lot of action out of a place of self-hatred and not really liking who you are, it can be a really big shift to actually take care of yourself in this way and have your actions come from a place of love and care. But there's so much benefit to you doing this because you spend more time with yourself than anybody else in this entire world. Treat yourself nicely. You want to, feel loved and feel cared for in your own company. And it's not going to feel normal at first. It's not going to come easy. It's going to feel, really, really strange and unnatural if that's not how you're used to showing up for yourself. But I would encourage you to start small and keep at it because it will get easier over time. You deserve to be treated with love and care, and you deserve to be someone who takes actions out of love and care for themselves. Number 5, this is a doozy. If you take nothing else out of this list, please listen to this one. Keep the promises you made to yourself. I've talked about this again in other episodes, and I'm saying it again because it is so, so important. Nothing else will reinforce the narrative that you are trustworthy and reliable more than you following through on the promises that you make to yourself, big or small. And this goes hand in hand with a lot of the discussions we've had about confidence because it makes you feel secure in yourself. It makes you sure that you can follow through on the things that you want to follow through on. And again, I think I've quoted this in the past, but something Rob Dial says a lot is the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And that could not be more true. So when it comes to like the smaller things, like getting up when your alarm goes off in the morning, or eating the thing that you meal prepped for lunch instead of going and buying something instead, just those little small promises that don't really seem like a big deal in the moment, they reinforce a narrative. If you continue to follow through on them, they reinforce the narrative that you are trustworthy and reliable. If you continue to push them aside and not do them, it reinforces the narrative that you are untrustworthy and unreliable, and it's going to shatter your confidence, and it's going to make you feel pretty crappy about yourself. So even though they don't seem like a big deal in the moment, they are. Every promise you make to yourself, really, really do your best to follow through on it. It's going to have a big impact. Those things are cumulative. Those things are cumulative. My God. Number 6, stop talking to yourself like an asshole. Okay, I want you to really take a second and think about the way that you talk to yourself. I was listening to a podcast recently, and I think it was Mel Robbins, I can't remember for sure, but the podcast host was saying that their therapist had them write down everything that they said to themselves in a 24-hour period. And the person who was tasked with doing this didn't initially think that they were talking that badly to themselves. They were like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, my inner dialogue's not that bad. I'm pretty nice. I'm whatever. And then she did this list, and she came back the following day and went to go read it out loud to her therapist and started to cry because she realized just how much she had been bullying herself. And so you may not realize this initially. If you actually stop and think about the way that you talk to yourself, it might not be so obvious that you were kind of a jerk. I would encourage you to actually take a 24-hour period and write down all of the things that you say to yourself and what your inner dialogue is. Every little thing, every little thought that comes into your mind, every little thing that you ruminate about, everything you think when you see yourself in the mirror, write it all down. And I want you to look at it and I want you to think, if you had a friend who said all of these things to you, what would you think about that friend? Would you think that they are a kind and considerate person that you want to keep around long term? Or would you think that this person is an ass that I never want to speak to again? And if it's the latter, let that be your prompt to really reconsider the way that you're talking to yourself, and keep that comparison in mind when you start talking to yourself and when your inner dialogue is kind of going. And use it as a reminder to catch yourself and try and be a little bit nicer. And again, this is not an overnight fix. This is not something that you're going to start doing one day and immediately it's solved. It takes practice. It takes repeated effort of you showing up and doing this over and over again for it to feel normal. Number 7, lean into appreciating alone time with yourself. If you can learn to love your own company, you'll never be lonely again. And again, you will spend more time with yourself than anybody else in this entire world. So really lean into trying to enjoy that, and really lean into learning to appreciate your own company. It is going to foster a much better relationship with yourself, and you are going to show up so much better in other relationships in your life because you're secure in that relationship that you have with yourself. And this could look like, again, just taking moments to practice spending time with yourself. Go and try something new that you've never done before. Go and put yourself in a new environment that you've never been in before. Take some time to reflect on things you really like doing alone, things that bring you a lot of peace, things that bring you a lot of joy. And just lean into the positive experience of it. I know sometimes it can feel really scary to be alone, and we get kind of caught up in feeling like we're lonely and feeling like we've been rejected and wanting community around us. And we sometimes forget to actually appreciate the value that comes with alone time. And I know, especially coming out of a recent pandemic, I think we've probably all had a heavier dose of alone time than we would like. And it can feel kind of hard sometimes to have the sense of community that you want. But something that I promise will help is actually reframing your mindset around the alone time that you have. Instead of seeing it as this scary thing, instead of seeing it as this negative thing that you want to avoid at all costs, think of it as a privilege. Think of it as a really lovely thing that you get to spend time with your favorite person. You get to spend time with your most consistent person, yourself. Lean into it. Number 8, make it a daily habit to do one act of kindness for yourself. And this could be something as simple as doing the dishes the night before so you don't have to wake up to a sink full of dirty dishes, or like we said before about setting up your coffee pot the night before so it's ready as soon as you wake up, or maybe it's typing out a draft of a message or an email or something that you have to send the following day. Do one small action each day that future you will thank you for. Maybe it's putting $1 into an investment account or a savings account, or adding one vegetable to your dinner that wasn't going to be there before, or drinking one extra glass of water. Something kind, some little act of kindness for yourself. And if you're having a hard time doing this, again, I want you to think of it as if you're doing it for someone else. Think of someone that you love. Maybe it's a partner, maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a sibling. Think about what would be a small act of kindness that you would do if you were in their body for a day. What would you do to take care of them? What would be one small thing that you would want to do to make their life a little bit better? And do it for yourself. Number 9, I want you to wait at least 30 minutes after you wake up before scrolling on social media. And I think I've talked briefly about things adjacent to this before, but the reason that I'm telling you to do this is because you getting up in the morning and immediately scrolling on social media, first of all, is going to drain your dopamine extremely fast, and it's going to be really hard for you to find joy in anything else throughout the rest of your day. And it also starts your day on this really stressful, kind of invasive tone. Like, you are waking up and immediately opening yourself up to the entire world, and opening the entire world up to you, and opening yourself up to the entire world's stresses and worries and bad news and whatnot, and whatever else you've got going on social media. That is a lot to be bombarded with first thing in the morning. Give yourself at least 30 minutes. Longer if you can, but at least 30 minutes to settle into your morning. Drink some water, relax for a little bit, get into a clearer headspace before you introduce all of that stimuli. The last one is I want you to let yourself rest without feeling like you need to earn it. This is something I've had a really hard time with, and something that I've been working to get better at over the past year, is making rest a normal part of my routine and not just a byproduct of me finishing everything on my to-do list. You need time to rest because you're human and you need it and it's good for you, not because you are burnt out. I don't want you to wait until the moment where you are physically drained to then take time to rest because you literally can't do anything else. It is not something you have to earn. It is not something that you have to wait to have for when every single thing is checked off your to-do list and every single thing is done. Make it a priority before your body forces you to make it one. And the way that I have started doing this is I have started scheduling it into my day the way that I would schedule anything else. So if I am planning out what my day is going to look like, along with my commitments to work or the gym or friends or anything like that, schedule in downtime. Schedule in time to rest. And not halfway rest, not, scroll through work emails while you're sitting on the couch, not doom scrolling while you're sitting in the bathtub. Legitimately resting and actually giving yourself a break from everything that is going on. You will show up so much better to every other aspect of your life if you do that for yourself. Okay? So that's what I have for you today. These are 10 things that are not too complicated, they're not too hard, but they're a little bit deeper than just the surface level things that we think of when it comes to self-care. The way you show up in the rest of the world, the way that you feel in your day-to-day life, the way that you show up for other people comes from the way that you show up for yourself and is going to be a byproduct of the relationship that you have with yourself. Treat yourself with care, treat yourself with love, take care of yourself the way that you would someone else in your life, and put these things into practice, okay? Self-care is important, but it's also important to go about it the right way. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next week. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. If you like the episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review, or share the show with a friend. Your support helps the show reach even more incredible people just like you. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time at the Mindset Gym.